The Bulls have 3 seconds to try a shot and try to win the game.
This is the Notebook Wagering Podcast.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Coming to you from the betting deck.
Don't believe what I just saw.
Here are your hosts.
Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable!
What is up, Notebook Wagering fans? Q here. And before I introduce the rest, can I just say, wow, what an upgrade. I mean, we're big time now.
Wow,
Smitty, we're big time.
This is different than being on the deck.
Yes, it is. What's up, guys? Q here. Smitty sitting next to me, live from the Salisbury Center. And we've got our two trusty guys from Pittsburgh. A little fashionably late, but it happens. Manassas representing. I got Jason and Maddie. What's going on, boys?
Look at you guys down there in that fancy setup. And
I know.
Jason and
We're
Jason
official.
and I got to do some zooming in. Does Smitty have his cue cards? That's what I want to know.
I got the notebook here. Just I'm going to slide it up here right there. There's the notebook, everybody.
All right, boys. So obviously we've got a new spot here in Manassas. We want to give a huge shout out to Wylde Style Nation. So we just got recently picked up by Wylde Style Nation through a good friend of ours. So this is huge for us. We literally started with a COVID idea in a bar that we always go to, and Smitty looks at me and was like, Q, we should just start our own show. I'm like, that's crazy. And he's like, no, seriously, why don't you come over tomorrow, Saturday, and do a show? I was like, all right, what time? He's like, I don't know, like 8 a.m. We'll get the show out by 9, and then we're betting by 12. And I'm like, okay. So here we go. We show up, and we're literally on a deck that had been stained probably a couple months prior.
By my hard work right there, everybody. Hard work.
And he's like, okay, let's do a show. I'm like, Smitty, we got to figure this out. Like, we really don't have a game plan. What's the deal? I'm like, well, I got a MacBook with GarageBand's on there, so I think it can record. It's made to record, so let's go do something. And we've gone from literally trying to figure out how to make a show in an hour and emailing it to people to being in studio here at the Salisbury Center.
Yeah, so when we started this, it was on the deck, and then you had my two dogs that wanted to come out with us, or they'd go crazy at the door. So we'd let them out, and then they would start fighting with each other, or then the neighbors would come out and do like gardening or something, and we'd be on air, and they'd be yelling across at us. How about, do you remember the time when the neighbor's dog,
rescue dog,
was ripping tomatoes out of his garden, just going crazy? So when we would send these to people, you know, they always, man, you could hear the bird. I mean, it was like a nature show. I mean, it was like we were in a park or something. We're trying to talk gambling and sports and everything like that. But you had the neighbor's dog ripping tomatoes out, my dog's fighting, my kids were coming out. So it was craziness. And we would just email it to people. And the more people that we emailed it to, they kind of said, why don't you guys start sending it out and maybe talk to like getting a producer or getting
I think
more.
we got up to like 30 emails.
Yeah, 30 emails or something. Tell the story really quick, because that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to talk really fast about our start here, about the time we were in the pub.
Oh, yeah.
And
All right,
the truck driver.
So Skippy Torregrossa, a lot of Manassas people, local DMV people know him from being Jason Lurch Bissup's good buddy, gambling buddy, Big Fat Winners. Shout out to Skippy. So we're meeting up with them. We go to Charlestown, do a little gambling for the day. Skippy's in town from Colorado, and we're throwing down some cash at the tables. We're hitting bets. We're at this bar upstairs on the second deck. Everybody's cheering. Like, we're all on the same bets. I think it was an over in the Georgia-Missouri game. So flash forward a couple months, Smitty and I are in Old Town Sports Pub, and we're drinking. And he's like, hey, man, this guy keeps staring at you, like him and his wife. I was like, just ignore it. And then it just continued. We're like, what is going on? Like, Smitty, what did you say to this person or something like that? Because he's low outgoing. And so finally he like comes over.
I think,
you
know what I think I told him? I think I said, Ohio State sucks.
Something.
I think that's what I said.
I don't remember what it was, but I was like, this is kind of weird. So they actually came over and they're like, hey, were you guys at Charlestown? And we're like, not recently. Why? And they're like, no, I think you were. And we're like, I don't know, pal. We're there like every other month, maybe. And he's like, were you up at a bar with certain people watching and you guys had like an over? I'm like, yeah, we were there. He was like, oh, yeah, me and my wife were sitting behind you. And we're like, Okay, that's pretty wild. Like, we see you in Charlestown, West Virginia, and now you're in Manassas. It's like, we got a party to go to, but we figured we'd stop for a couple of beers. What do you guys do anything? And we're like, yeah, we actually have a show. He's like, oh, I'll play it on the CB radio for the truckers. So he was one of our 30 emailers, and so we're 66 eastbound and down wide right now. And so we've went from that, like we said, to the emails to it started with Smitty and I, and then we brought on Nails, and then Jason kind of came on. He was a fill-in. You know, I have a career, you have a career, and when one of us couldn't go, we wanted to do a 3-man show. So he's like, hey, I got this buddy Jason who's pretty nerdy with sports stuff, and he'd be awesome for the show. He's very statistician, and so we tried him out, and he started off a little tense, and finally he just started relaxing, and we had this awesome foursome that we've created, and now we're here.
Yeah, I think we bring everything. I'm kind of the rant guy a little bit. You kind of do the lead. Matt does the lead a lot of times. And Jason, I'll tell you, man, Jason's stats are just unbelievable.
Yeah.
The spreadsheets are just unbelievable. If you love stats and you like gambling, and that's what we're going to try to do here with the show here. We gamble a lot. We like to gamble. We like talking sports. We have a lot of opinions on things.
Oh, and no shortage.
And, sometimes we hit hot, sometimes we hit cold, and roll with us or fade us, and that's just the way it is sometimes. But, yeah, we were doing college basketball shows at like 8 a.m. trying to get Matt out of bed and do a quick some basketball shows. And
yep,
Jason
the quick
came
hit
on
shows.
And doing all that. So, yeah, let's lead into Matt. Matt, why don't you talk a little bit about when you joined us?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, 2 years of grinding, and look where we are now. So congrats to you guys and myself. We stuck to it and paid off. So yeah, these two characters, I know Smitty from college, so he always knew that I'm a big sports guy, fantasy guy, golf, just in that. When there's a term called junkie, I am a sports junkie. There's no doubt about it. It's get up, turn on ESPN or CBS and just watch sports all day while I'm working. It's on in the background. Golf today was excellent. Who watches golf on a Wednesday afternoon? This guy right here.
Matt Nails does, everybody.
So, yeah, and I mean, I have been gambling since I was probably 16. I'll tell a quick story for just a little insight. My driver's ed teacher in high school was a huge gambler, unbeknownst to me. And this guy actually had a crush on my mom from when she was younger. So I get this guy, and I never had him as a teacher. And he's like, hey, this is going to be fun. He's like, we'll have a good time. And he knows all about me. I'm like, I don't know anything about this freaking teacher. So he's like, hey, do you like gambling? I was like, well, I really don't know much about it other than baseball and that. So he's reading the paper as I'm student driving, and he's reading off scores and lines and everything. Lo and behold, he was basically like a bookie, and he just started teaching me how to gamble at the age of 16 while I was doing my driver ed student driving in high school. And since then, I've been hooked, and I love it. Not really an addiction, and I enjoy it. I'm not hurting myself. So we're going to bring our knowledge to everybody listening. Can't wait. We love it, and we're going to give you guys the best we got.
Matt, were you doing your parking scenario at the Rivers?
Oh, the Rivers destroyed me this past week. Destroyed me.
I love
the crab table was not very kind.
It happens, but you bounce back. You again. Jason,
That's
why don't you
right.
talk about how you came on? A little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I think the first show that I did were actually the NCAA tournament, breaking down. There's some sheets that I've been building for years, kind of use those to kind of build out some of our analysis as we went through the brackets. And like you guys said, kind of filled in. I was like the fourth guy on a 3-man squad there whenever someone couldn't make it. And I kind of weaseled my way into the regular rotation here on a weekly basis. And yeah, I mean, stats guy is kind of rough because in gambling, there's a lot of stats guys that are really nerdy, but you model pretty much everything that I bet. I have something behind it that supports it. It's not just going off of my gut. And, just try to kind of bring that stuff out, kind of support what these guys do when they make their wagers and have a good time doing it.
We don't have Ken Palm. We have JCam. Stats.
Hey, just real quick, when somebody who we won't introduce yet, because I'm sure we're going to have them on the show, tying to our guest, when somebody says Jason's sheets are better than they use at their book, that means the guy's legit.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, perfect segue, Matt. So kind of with the show, we like to obviously have our own banter between the four of us, but we like to bring on good guests. We're pretty heavily tied in with some VEASAN guys, local guys. A couple of the names are Tim Murray was in this area for years. Now he's out in VEASAN doing a heck of a job. So we'll definitely be bringing him on. Another one's like Pete Medhurst, especially when Army Navy plays. He's always our go-to guest for that. Anything Maryland football, pretty much anything DMV local. He's kind of our go-to guy right now. And we have a bunch of others. Greg Peterson, one of the best of VEASAN for college basketball, talks a mile a minute, so you have to put the show on almost half speed to be able to catch what he's saying. But the guy is full of knowledge.
Can I just say something real quick? One of the greatest shows we've ever done was Jason. It was myself and Jason. We had Greg Peterson, which we've had Greg about 3 times. And Greg is just, he's so knowledgeable.
He likes to hit us with the midnight shows, though.
Oh, well, you got to stay up late to get the great people sometimes. But so Greg came on with us, and myself and Jason probably had about 10, 12 questions between us. You guys Matt sent some, you sent some. I looked out. I about had a panic attack on a Zoom doing the show because those 12 questions were done in about 3 minutes. And I was like texting Jason on the side. Jason shaking his head right now I'm texting. I'm going, what are we going to do here, man? We need like 20 more minutes. He's busted through 12, 14 questions in like 3 minutes. So, no, Greg, that's the people we have. Basketball, too. We got Jim Root's been coming on, Brian Ralph, man. These people, we football, Sean King. The names. It's just amazing, again, what we started doing this on a deck for fun during COVID to now having these people on with us.
Yeah, it's surreal. It's surreal.
And the coolest thing, and I've said this, is on a Tuesday night, you're watching a hoop game and you can text one of those guys and just get some quick basketball info like in a second. It's amazing.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
the coolest thing, man.
So we'll be bringing those guys, obviously, onto the WSN network. They'll be huge to have them on. And there's others. We're going to keep trying to get some high-profile guys. We already have some. And there's so many to name that we've had on prior to this point. We'll continue to have on. They've supported us through it all. And we'll continue to have their support and support their endeavors and their shows and whatnot. But it's kind of a little bit of what we bring in terms of guests and stuff like that, along with the guests. Listen, nobody goes 100% in gambling. We feel like we do have an edge. We're degenerates. We're looking at books and lines all the time. We're texting each other in our chat. That's nonstop blowing up. And we give all of our information for free, essentially. We're not here to jip anybody, to act like we're, the best of the best. We're here to give winning picks, put a little money in your pocket to buy some Christmas gifts. Maybe you took a couple dollars from the piggy bank from your kids, put that back, maybe add another $1 or $2 to it, and they'll never know it's gone.
It's the way we do it. It's a lot of info. And the one thing about our show, we all have our strengths, I believe, and we all love football.
Oh, yeah.
College basketball, we're really big into.
Baseball.
Pretty
much every sport.
Golf. Maddie, we're big into player props. We're big. They call me the teaser king because I like to tease some points up and down a little bit in the over-unders. So we give out a lot of plays. So if you're coming into this a little bit and you just need a little bit of advice, and we have so many people in the business that we talk to each day getting information. So I think that's the great thing. So whatever sport you're really into, we're going to try to provide it for you.
Hopefully our producers are listening to our picks because we're guaranteed to put money in their pockets.
Or they're going to put a lock on the door when we come up.
Or we'll come for the Thursday show and we're like, hey, the door's locked. No more show. Either or, we're excited to be here. We're excited to be with the new production crew, the new network, WSN. Stay tuned for big things with them. It's only going to grow to the moon. We're excited to be a groundbreaking step with them. So why don't we kind of end that there and let's talk some football. We did enough of who you are, what we're about. Let's just do it now. You guys go with that?
Let's dive after it.
Let's talk about divisional. Really wasn't a close game in my opinion outside of the Kansas City game. So why don't you, Smitty, give me your quick divisional thoughts, and then we'll kind of break down very quickly each game. What were your overall thoughts, and we'll kind of go around the table.
Well, I'm gonna start Do you care where I start?
No, I don't
just
care.
say whatever.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I did okay. I'll tell you, I got crushed Sunday. And that's the one thing about us on the show. We're going to be very honest when we're rolling really well, and then when we're not doing well, we're going to talk about it.
Oh yeah,
I
lose.
threw all the chips in, man. I was on Dallas. I was really on Dallas. I had a teaser with them, and I did 2 lives. I did a +3.5, +4.5, and that and the player props were not good. I gave out on the show last week. I thought Prescott was going to have a bigger game throwing the ball. I thought Gallup was going to do some things. It just didn't happen, and that's the truth here. Now I'm going to say I want to hear what the boys. The kickoff, the kick return should have been for a touchdown. How do you run right into the kicker? Jason, tell me something, man. How did that guy seriously just run right in the kicker? And then he gets up and he's like ticked off at the world that I don't know why he was mad, man. You know why I was mad? Because you ran in the kicker. Jason.
He literally was their best offensive weapon, though. I mean, he took 2 big returns to kind of set them up. And without that offense really struggled. And Dak Prescott really struggled. But, yeah, they showed the replay, and there was a lane to the left. If he avoids that kicker, he was gone. It would have made that game completely different. But, yeah, no, Dallas, we kind of talked about how it would come down to the quarterbacks. Purdy didn't blink, and Dak did. And that's really what the game in the summary, because everything else was pretty much even. I mean, 2 good teams, except for their quarterback position. Matty, what did you think about it?
Well, I may ruffle some feathers right out of the gate on our first show here, but F Dallas, man.
I'm with you, buddy.
My biggest take of the weekend was the 4 best teams came out. That's what we wanted.
Yeah.
That's what the NFL wanted, and we got it. I mean, the Giants put up a great showing this year. They were the only team I actually lost on betting this past weekend, though. I was shocked that they didn't hang around a little more. But
they're missing some pieces, though. Their offense was kind of anemic to end the season.
I thought they'd still hang in there and give me at least I might get the hook to get it. But I am going to toot my own horn real quick. So, as everybody knows from our prior shows, I've been on an epic, bomb cyclone of coldness when it comes to gambling. But it's turned around in about the past week and a half, 2 weeks. And then I took a flyer this past weekend on T.Y. Hilton to have the first catch for the Dallas Cowboys. And lo and behold, T.Y. Hilton had the first catch for the Dallas Cowboys at +2,000. So if you can just do some simple math, that was nice.
That's all it takes. It takes one to get a hot.
Yep. So we'll see. Maybe we can parlay it over into this weekend.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch too much of it. I was down representing the state of Virginia at a major softball tournament. I did catch the end of the Giants-Eagles game, and all the Eagles fans were in the bar, and it was just atrocious to listen to. Not a huge Giants fan, not a huge Eagles fan, but it just made it even worse because they're screaming "Fly, Eagles, fly," spelling Eagles. It just was like, this could not be worse. But I did catch the Sunday games. We're driving back, and I had my buddy in the car, and I'm like holding up my phone. We're all trying to watch this going up 95 at like 80 miles an hour. I thought both games on Sunday were pretty solid. The Diggs story is going to be interesting. Like, is Josh Allen just kind of one of those quarterbacks that'll never win? Is he going to be like your next Dan Marino? He just can't get past and not of it's all on him, but man, he just has the worst luck of running into the hot teams at the worst moments. Regular season to then beating those teams in a regular season and then running into them again in the playoffs and just falling short. Like, I kind of am getting Dan Marino vibes. And then the night game, Dak, I've been saying it on our previous shows, like he's overrated, and we're starting to see it. I mean, when Mississippi State went to number 1 with Dan Mullen, he kind of crapped the bed too under the pressure, and we're seeing it there. I mean, at some point, Dallas and Jerry Jones has got to move on, if especially with the team that they have, the talent. I mean, he's just not going to get it done is kind of where I'm at. But, hey, Brock Purdy, we have been talking about him. Trevor Lawrence obviously had a good way coming in, playing well in the postseason. He started off really rocky with like 4 picks in the first half, unheard of, comes back, wins the game, goes the next round, and plays a tough game. But Brock Purdy, everybody, Jason and I had been on him to just not have a bad game, and we still haven't seen it. So kudos to that guy. Yeah,
I've been saying it the last couple of weeks. Sean King said it on Visa and said, when's this guy going to have one of those games that it's not good?
Yeah.
You'd rather do it in the regular season than he hasn't made a mistake yet. I mean, he's playing great now. Does he have a lot of weapons? Yes, he does. And I mean, things are small. I just want to throw this out. I saw this on Follow the Money this morning. Since November 1st, this was from, hopefully I get this right, on Twitter, EP Cap sent this. And I thought this was just amazing. The guys that are in this weekend, Burrow's since November 1st, Burrow 10-0, Purdy 7-0, Mahomes 10-1, Hurts 8-1. They're 35-2.
That's the NFL's future. That is crazy.
That's an impressive stat right there.
And then
and you can't lie. I mean, these are probably the best teams that are here.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I mean, the only team I could have said, I'm just going to make Matt laugh, if the Steelers would have got in here and got through here a little bit and somehow made it happen. It didn't happen, but now I mean, this is an exciting week. I mean, the only thing I'll say about Buffalo, just again, was very disappointed with Buffalo. Just didn't look inspired. Very bad first quarter. Got behind quick. And I think Jason had a great text that, I will say this. I'm glad the meteorologist said it was going to snow and it actually snowed in a game, because they've really whiffed on some of these games the last couple of weeks. So it did snow. And Jason said on a text, he said, this is hurting Buffalo. They can't, because Cincinnati was down 3 offensive line guys.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't, they couldn't get to them. So it just wasn't there. And Josh Allen has not been Josh Allen for the last couple weeks. I mean, a lot of turnovers, getting hit, fumbling the ball. It just wasn't good. Jason, you want to add on anything there?
Yeah, I mean, like what you said, when I mentioned that text, I was on Buffalo when we talked on our show, and it was pretty clear. It was like, that is not the right side. Matty told us to take the Bengals, and I should have listened. I'll give him credit there. But, yeah, I went completely against my bets. I started firing Cincinnati money line as soon as I saw that first quarter. You could just tell. Cincinnati had a game plan. They were in it. They were ready for the fight, and Buffalo was not. I mean, you can blame their players all you want, but their coaching staff on both sides were awful. I mean, people are going back and watching the film, and there's just too many times where you just see mistakes. You see coverage being soft because of the conditions and just giving away first downs to the Cincy wide receivers. I mean, they just were never in that game. I know they made the score somewhat comfortable at one point where they looked like they could be in it, but you always felt like they were always 2 scores down and that they just weren't going to get there. So I don't know what Buffalo does, because, they looked pretty good earlier in the year, but you saw how flawed they were in that game against Cincinnati, who, is really good, but, they're not like the best team ever. You can get to them. There's definitely flaws there. You mentioned the offensive line, down 3 starters. Like, the game should have been far closer than it was.
Well, I think a lot of teams saw what Miami did in week 3 down in Miami, and then what they did without Tua, obviously Skylar Thompson playing, but the defense blitzed Buffalo, and Buffalo collapsed when they were blitzed. I mean, Miami hit Josh Allen. I think they had 7 sacks. And I think that's, if you have good enough cornerbacks that can cover those extra 3 or 4 seconds, obviously you have to kind of have a spy there in case he runs, because he is such a good runner and he's a big, powerful runner. I think if you just blitz him, his offensive line can't defend that. And teams are starting to see what Miami did to him. If Tua is in that game, Miami beats them, and they're a one and done right there. I'm telling you right now. I mean, if Skylar Thompson almost did it, then there's no question a healthy Tua does it. So I think you're starting to see, what Buffalo's Achilles heel is, and it's against the blitz. They just can't handle it. Jason.
Yeah, no, what you're seeing is people blitzing from deep, which is one of my least favorite moves on all defenses. Penn State loves to do that. They never get there. You're wondering why you blitz that guy, because he's not causing pressure, he's not covering. But those have been really effective against Buffalo. Like, they're not adjusting. So guys are coming from deep in the secondary and causing all kind of havoc. Miami discovered that, and since he took full advantage, and it's worked. And Buffalo's going to see it all next year, because clearly there's a scheme flaw there.
Yeah.
So let me jump in here. I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to go over towards the Bengals. So I've been riding Joe Burrow all year. I actually have futures tickets on the Bengals to win the Super Bowl. I have a Bengals-Niners Super Bowl matchup ticket. I have a Burrow MVP. Sadly, I don't think that's going to hit because of Mahomes' numbers. But Emmanuel Acho broke it down on television today, and they showed a scheme of Burrow versus Allen. And Burrow recognized a blitz coming from the secondary that Allen doesn't seem to be able to pick up. And Burrow immediately read it, just did a couple hand signals, and immediately got a first down out of it. That guy doesn't need the O-line to be great. He just needs them to be average. And everybody's saying, they're down 3 starters. Granted, the 3 starters got slopped into their
Yeah.
2 weeks ago without any prep, without any practice, anything going on other than the normal practice reps that I'm sure they get. Now they had a week to prepare. They played fantastic. All they have to do in this upcoming game is be average again, and don't let Chris Jones ruin your day. You're going to have to chip with probably P. Ryan in the back up the middle to keep Jones honest. Frank Clark might be out to the Chiefs. So I know I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I think it's foolish for people to not just keep riding the Bengals. And sorry to say, but Joe Burrow is going to dominate this AFC for quite a few years.
Oh, yeah. No, that's cool. We can just go right in on that, the Bengals versus Chiefs. So we'll let you keep going. So you have right now the Chiefs are hosting the Bengals. Over-unders opened up at 47.5. That stayed the same. The Bengals opened up at plus 1.5 dogs. Now the line has changed to -1. Maddie, I mean, just continue. Obviously, you started. What's your side on that game? What's your thoughts? I mean, the Bengals, that's tough. I mean, you would think, especially last year with Mahomes and what happened, and now, a little vengeance game, but it's Joe Cool. I mean, you can't not back the guy.
I don't think – I mean, the line started out what? Kansas City -2.5. It then dipped all the way down to the Bengals -1.5. I think it's back to Kansas City -1 after the Mahomes video today of him not limping around the facility. Well, that doesn't do anything for him. So I'm going to drop, we here like to do what we call sticky notes. So Cincy's biggest strength, obviously, is Burrow in the passing game. Their run game is just average, and especially with these backup linemen, it's probably all it's going to get. But lo and behold, Kansas City gave up the most passing touchdowns in the NFL this year, 33.
They can't cover anybody.
Burrow has amazing. You have to think he's going to get 3 more. So there's a player prop you have to look over his passing touchdowns, 1.5. And there's nobody's going, none of you guys, no one else is going to talk me off Cincy money line. I got a plus money a couple days ago, and I'm going to keep riding it. But I do think the under is in play here. I just think Cincy's going to it's going to be kind of right around last year's total, around 27-24. That goes over, but I think they're going to slow it down a little more this year with that O-line and see if they can get some run blocking from Mixon, who actually came back to life last week. And after that, what's that?
I mean, you got P. Ryan, too, who's just a workhorse out of the backfield. They're just going to he took off last year in the playoffs. I had a decent year this year. He splits time.
That's another
Mixon.
one. Smitty can touch on his probably player prop. I know Smitty's going to fire away on some player props. So I'll turn it over to you guys back over that. That's my little rant on the Cincy game. So,
yeah, you look at it, Joe Burrow's 3-0 ATS against Kansas City. And you're looking at it right now, they're 6-2 last 8 ATS against Kansas City here. Now, here's the thing. Matt's on Cincinnati here. I think he's going to be okay, Mahomes. I mean, I know, did you do the weekend at Bernie thing and have some strings on him and run him across the field today? I don't know. You got to see what was that. But I like it. It's +1 right now, Kansas City. I'm the teaser guy. I love a teaser. I'm going to take the home team up. Get them up to 7. I already did today.
They're going to Bud Kilmer this. You already know it. There is no chance he's not going to have a little needle going to that ankle. I mean, you can't win without him in this big of a game. So if you see Bud Kilmer leaving the stadium, don't ask any questions because it's not going to go well.
And since he's 13-5 ATS this year, 72%. Kansas City 6-11-1 on that. Now, I think Maddie made a great point here. Maybe keep an eye on the under in this here. Temperature a little bit. Let me look. I wrote it down here. Now I can't find it. It's going to be a night game, about 13 degrees, about 5 to 10 miles per hour winds here. Nothing crazy here. But these are two teams, 7-10-1 Cincinnati on over under. Kansas City's 8-10 here. I like jacking this up a little bit. I take the under in this one.
Jason, what do you got? And I'll finish it off.
I think I'm going contrarian here. I actually kind of like the over in this game. I mean, if you've got Mahomes playing and you've got Burrow playing, I was looking at the stats from the first meeting, and since he outgained them by about 100 yards, and they had 7 trips in the red zone. And Kansas City, the big Achilles heel here between these two teams, when you look at them offensively, both are really good. Defensively, Cincy DVOA doesn't love Cincy's defense, but when you see it in real time, it's actually pretty sound. And the Kansas City run defense is actually decent. So, the pass defense, obviously, as Q mentioned, is not. But the biggest difference between these two teams is really the red zone defense for Kansas City is pretty terrible. And, 7 trips to the red zone last game is a lot. In these kind of games, that's where the games get decided. Is it 3 or is it 7? And if it's 7, you can't win. And I think that's going to be a huge factor here. I actually think there will be some points. I think they will give up yards. I think Kansas City will have a plan for Cincinnati because, they've seen them enough times now where they've been frustrated by them that they have to think of something. And they run the ball far better than they did and more balanced than they've probably ever been playing in this game. I just think that it's going to be an over. And you know what, you look at it, I want to take Kansas City so bad because they're at home and they're going to be up for it. As a small dog, you kind of got to like them there. I think it's a close game, but I like Cincy too. Maddie's convinced me that Joe Burrow is football Jesus, so I might have to roll with him here.
Q, before you go real quick.
Yep.
So looking back at last year's game, I looked at the stats. And on our group text, we constantly wonder how teams do not bracket coverage double Kelsey. And I watched this film last year. Guess what they didn't do? They didn't do it last year either. They actually let Kelsey get his 10 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown, and they still won the game. I think they're going to do that again and just completely take away the run game and make Juju, Valdez, Scantling, these other guys beat them. And I think it's going to come down to McPherson field goal. And lo and behold, I'll say 25-22 goes under by half.
And that's one thing, Maddie, I really think teams should have ran. I think that was one thing last week with Buffalo. I like the Cook over, and I gave it on the show last week. I was a little surprised that, Buffalo got down quick. That was a really bad first quarter, and they couldn't, they had to really play catch up. But I think this is a game, again, that I would try to run the ball against Cincinnati a little bit. I know they're going to do a lot of shotgun because you're going to have to put them back here with the ankle sprain and everything. But I want to see Kansas City try to run the ball a little bit here. So keep an eye on those running backs, maybe the player props a little bit, and we'll dive into that a little bit.
At a minimum, those running backs, you could even look at like a total receptions rushing because they're going to want to get the ball quick out of Mahomes' hands, whether that's somebody running a slant route or whatever. Those running backs all can catch, and we've all seen that, especially in the red zone when they do those little shovel passes or little quick screen passes that go, as a 3-yard screen to go 13, 14 yards. That's what's going to keep Mahomes in this game. When he drops back and he has to scramble, waiting for a deep opportunity, I just don't think that's the answer. To touch to your Kelsey point, the problem is they just have too many weapons, and Mahomes is too good. To double up Kelsey and then just leave somebody else of quality, one-on-one or wide open. They're just going to tear you apart.
But is Juju Smith-Schuster really a weapon? He's had under 3 catches in like 5 straight games.
If you leave him wide open to double Kelsey, he is. You could say the same about Valdez Scantling, but I get your point, though. I do understand. Kelsey's hard. Yeah. No, I get your point, Matt. Kelsey's an extremely fast tight end. He's got hands better than probably 80% of the wide receivers in the league. So I do get your point. But they're going to pick their poison. I think they're going to try to watch the running backs, and they're just going to contain everybody else. And if only one guy's scoring, I don't know. I'm kind of on the Cincy train too. I think Joe Burrow gets his Super Bowl ring this year. But I am on the over. I do think there's some points to be had. I think Cincy's going to give us some points. And the reason I say that is what Eli Apple is going to show up. Like lockdown, or is he just going to get torched? Because you just can't ever tell with that guy, what he's going to do. Is he just going to get torched all game for 7 and 195, or is he going to have 7 balls go his way? He's going to have 3 pass breakups, maybe an interception, and giving up 30 yards total. You just don't know. But I don't know. Give me a Cincy in this one. I think it's going to be another good game. Like you guys said, we have the 4 best teams. So I don't think this is going to be a blowout by any measure. I think the fans are going to get what they want, but I think Joe Burrow's going to end up on the winning side of that. And that's no disrespect to Mahomes. The guy's playing hurt, and he's going to get do whatever necessary to play. I just think they're running into a bad Cincy team right now. It just is what it is.
Like we've said, keep an eye on Kelsey then for a player prop.
Yeah, he's just.
What did he have last week? He had like 14 catches.
Yeah.
I think it was like 17 targets.
And that's his number one option. So.
And the greatest thing was I think it was on VEASAN. They said, guy doesn't run all these crazy patterns. He runs like 10 yards down the field and just turns and pivots and then catches.
They said
the
he
ball.
makes his own routes.
I mean, there's nothing. I mean, it's like, seriously, can these teams not figure this out? Like maybe to throw 2 guys on him and then, like Matt said, maybe get Juicer to try to catch some balls or something. But nobody can do it. So I don't know. It's like, do they try to take out everybody else and just say, okay, listen, this guy's so good that he's just going to get his catches. Let him have his catches. So I don't know. I know Jason's ready to say something here. I can already tell. It's the brains grinding there. Go, Jace.
I think part of the reason why they let Kelsey not double team last year was because they were trying to take away Tyreek Hill. Like they wanted to limit that Kansas City explosiveness. And it, like you guys kind of touched on it, but you didn't say it specifically. That's probably the thing that's lacking with Kansas City this year is they don't have that explosive player. Kadarius Toney could be that guy, but he can't keep himself healthy. But that's the reason they went out and got him is that they wanted that one guy who can like stretch, scare the defense a little bit. They haven't been able to integrate him in the offense as much as they wanted to kind of make him a threat. But a game like this, he's your third or fourth receiver. He's going to get matched up on somebody that he's got a clear advantage on. Now, he wants to show up or not, that's a whole different matter. But since he's had success because they drop guys, and they keep people in front of him, they make Kansas City move the chains and kind of, keep them playing. And it's worked. I don't know why it's worked because Kansas City's really efficient on offense, but for some reason against the Bengals, they bogged down inside the 20 and it ends up being 3 instead of 7. That's going to be the key to this one as well. That's really what the difference is. Like this year's Kansas City, last year's Kansas City, you don't have Tyreek Hill. You don't have that account for that guy who's going to blow the top off your defense.
Yeah.
Also, one last tidbit. You guys do know, so we bring up, hey, if Cincy's O-line might be the pressure point on the Bengals. The Chiefs cornerbacks are both rookies. And you're going to expect 2 rookies to cover Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd and not get burned? I'll take Eli over those guys right now. I mean, I know he's a wild card, but I'm going to already lay player props on Higgins, Chase, and P. Ryan coming up. I just got to find what numbers to get in on.
I think Higgins is the best because Chase is going to get the most coverage. So I killed the books last year in that playoff run on T. Higgins. So just look at he's such a big and fast receiver. He's definitely the number 2 option, but I would say he's probably the most looked option out of the 2 because Jamar's running down the field, but T. Higgins is kind of that midfield guy. So I think that's where your money is personally.
Yeah, look for the tight end Hurst. We said it on the show last week. I played over his receptions. It's right now what I saw, it was 3.5 again, 11-4 on the over on that. And he had that quick. I got it over 3.5 last. I think he had 4 catches like by second quarter, easy into it. So look at that one again. An early line I saw for his yards, 34.5. So kind of keep an eye on him because he's another great player in that Cincinnati offense.
All right, let's jump to the NFC side. So you have the Eagles hosting the 49ers. Eagles opened up at -2.5. Lines pretty much stayed there. And I'm getting these odds from Scores and Odds. So that's if there has been line movement, they just haven't updated it. So bear with me, guys. Over-under has been opened up at 45.5, and it's went up to 46.5. So little bump there. People are coming in thinking they're going to score some points. I actually think this game is going to be less scoring than the AFC game. And I'll say this. The defense for the Eagles is drastically improved this year. I think it's a little kind of the spotlight for Hurts. Like, this is a massive game. So, we've kind of seen him in Monday Night Games where he's not played poorly, but you could tell, like, hey, the stars and stuff like that, like, it's kind of getting to him. And Brock Purdy, I think, is going to be a little cautious. And I think Shanahan's going to run that offense a little cautious to start, especially in the first half, to kind of get him into a comfort zone. Because even though he doesn't really lose his cool and he doesn't get over shocked or anything like that in the games we saw at Iowa State and to this point, this is a big stage for him. I mean, the winner goes to the Super Bowl. So I think they're going to play to that and try to keep him comfortable and gradually open up the offense as we get in the third and fourth quarter and kind of see what the Eagles, are showing defensively. But I do think the 49ers are going to get this win. Nothing to the Eagles. They've had a great year. I just think with that McCaffrey trade late in the year, I think the 49ers, with a healthy Debo, you got Brandon Ayuk, you've got the best defense in the NFL, and then McCaffrey. Like, I just don't know how you can cover all these guys. And I think the Eagles just met their match. Like, they'll be in the discussion as long as, Jalen Hurts is there and they keep this team together for the next few years. But right now, I think the 49ers are the team to beat, and it's going to be a Cincy and 49ers Super Bowl. I mean, that's just my vibe.
Yeah, in January, 49ers are really good. They're 13-2 last 15 in January here. We've said again about Purdy. Is this going to be a game? Very tough environment to go into and play extremely well here. They got so many weapons here, though. Conditions earlier afternoon, not going to be bad there in Philly at all. This is a great San Francisco team covering 13-6 this year ATS. Philly is 9-9 ATS this year. The place is going to be going. The key again is Hurts. You came back last week, and that team that was an unbelievable showing. They just did everything. The offensive line was fantastic. This can be a tough game. I like San Francisco up in a teaser in this. Again, I like the teaser play in this, and also I like to jack the points up in this and also take the under. And I just want to throw something out. We do have some buddies that jump on and we give out some of the information here. We have a great friend of mine. We call him Old Man in the Garage. He's my neighbor. Loves giving out dog money lines. This guy gives them out. It's always, every week, it's a dog play. And he has kind of a cult following. Can I tell you something? I had 2 people text me, and they wanted his play last week. And
Guys got a following.
Now, listen, I'm going to say he gave out the Giants. Ugh. So I think they probably throw my number away, and they might not want to, but he does an unbelievable job. So Old Man in the Garage is part of the team also. The guy's fantastic, and he loves his NFL football. He loves San Francisco this week, so let's go 49ers. Matty, what do you got in this one, man?
Man, I'm torn. So torn. I need the Niners, obviously, that I stated on a ticket earlier.
You're a Commanders fan. You cannot root for Philly here.
Well, I'm not rooting for Philly. I'm obviously rooting for the Niners, but here's why I'm scared. This is going to be Purdy's ultimate test, and I'm not liking what I've dug into. Simply put, after what Dallas did last week, all you have to do is put pressure on Purdy. The 3 Ps this week. Pretty simple. Dallas did it 11 times last week. He went 3 for 11 with 24 yards, 2 sacks, no touchdowns, no INTs. Philly led the league in sacks, even more than Dallas. He's going to be in a hostile environment, not going to get snap counts right. He's not going to have that luxury of playing at home. I'm a little worried. I think this could be Purdy's bad game. I don't want to say it. I don't want to jinx it because I need it. I think he's definitely going to throw one interception and kill that streak. And the other thing is everybody loves Nick Bosa, but the Eagles have the second best defense. Niners have the first best defense. Both these offensive lines grade out top 5. This is going to be just huge trench game. Who's going to maul each other? And Bosa actually struggles against the run. He was bottom 88 or 78 percentile against the run. He's only like a 22% stuff rate, which isn't very good. So I think the Eagles, with their big tackles, they're going to pound the ball at him and try to neutralize him and tire him out. And I saw last week, he actually came out of the game a bunch. I don't know if he needs to get his wind under him, but I hate to break it to you guys. I'm not going to root for the Eagles, and it's going to kill some of my tickets. I think they're going to get it done, and it's going to break my heart.
Do you think, just devil's advocate, 49ers have great running backs too. If you're saying it's a battle in the trenches, my money is on McCaffrey and Debo.
Well, I think the one thing with McCaffrey you got to keep an eye on, though, is with the injury a little bit, with the calf.
Yeah, but he's going to play through, though.
McCaffrey, Mitchell, Debo, all missed practice today.
I think it's cautionary. Why push them too hard? Like, they know the offense. They're going to ball out.
They do, but Mahomes practiced today. Those 3 didn't.
Well, it's Wednesday, man. I wish I could miss work today. That good hump day.
But you can't. I can't look much into that because you know how many times, like especially with my team, the Dolphins, like how many of the injury reports that like missed practice, and then light or just didn't, and then they're a go. Like I think it's a little more precautionary just to keep those guys healthy. But I was just playing devil's advocate with the battle of the trenches. You give me those 2 running backs, Mitchell the third. That's pretty tough to say no to. And here's another thing. Anytime Hurts played a pretty solid defense, and 2 that I come to mind were the Bears didn't have an atrocious defense, at least in terms of the front 7, and then the Commanders, one of the best front 7s, front 4s, I guess. The linebackers are another story, but they kind of gave Hurts a little bit of problems when they were hitting him hard and getting to him. Even though they don't have Nick Bosa, like there's still other guys that could easily get to him that would essentially be one-on-one or not covered. So just those couple games, Hurts isn't stellar by any means. Like he's not a Mahomes in my opinion. I think that's a little worrisome.
I'm just going to, before Jason goes, I'm just going to say I'm just a tad worried, just a tad. I wish Purdy would have got some struggles in prior.
Sure.
I hope it just doesn't surface this week in a ruckus crowd, short week. I mean, huge stage. That place is going to be absolutely livid.
Oh, yeah.
Livid.
If not, the batteries are coming out. We know that.
Batteries are going to come out no matter what. I think it was pretty funny when somebody said hostile environment. They're talking about Philly. It's like, that's like, you're being redundant. That whole thing is a hostile.
Goes without
Once
saying.
you get to the King of Prussia exit going to Philly, it's all hostile from there. Like you have to always be on your guard.
Oh,
so you
yeah.
exit them, head west to lovely Pittsburgh. I think the biggest thing here is looking at San Francisco's defense. It's really good against the run. Like, that's the one thing that's going to keep them in this game is that 3.78 adjusted line yards is second in the NFL. They're number one in second level defense and number one in open field. So that's the biggest thing that Philly does, right? They run you with the RPOs. They're running the read option with Hurts and Sanders. And all those plays work off of getting through that initial line, right? You get through into the secondary and you're causing havoc. Well, San Francisco is really good at shutting that down. I mean, their linebackers are probably the most underrated group in the NFL. Like, you don't really know the names, but when you watch them play, you see how good they are. That's going to be huge in this game. Like, they cannot let the Eagles run the football. I know Philly's got weapons on the outside, but I would take my chances with Hurts. I mean, he's come a long way from the wild card game against Tampa Bay last year.
Yeah, but still, I think you still make him beat you, though.
He can still beat you, but I would rather get beat over through the air.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Make him beat you through the air versus his legs. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would rather him do that if I could. And I think the biggest thing here is Shanahan going to attack this game with an aggression?
Nope.
Like, as the underdog, is he going to, come out? And because I'll tell you what, they played with one arm tied behind their back last weekend. They protected Purdy a lot because they were worried that Dallas was going to get through to him.
I think you'll see the same thing.
Yeah, Philly has the number one sack rate. So they're coming. And they're bringing 8 guys instead of, Dallas's 5. Like, they're going to rotate guys through and through and through, and they're only going to rush 4. They're all going to be fresh, and they're going to have 7 guys deep. So he's going to be thrown in the coverage. So it's really, how can they generate offense? Can they be aggressive enough? Because you can't protect the quarterback anymore. Like, Philly's defense is too good. You've got to let it all play. If Purdy throws 6 interceptions, you still made a better effort. If you play conservative like they showed at the end of the first half when they had time on the clock and it basically kind of ran the clock out and accidentally got a field goal attempt out of it, that's just not going to play this week. So, and you've seen Shanahan and LaFleur and that whole school of guys be really conservative in the playoffs. That is not going to play this week. That's my only hesitancy. I actually like San Francisco a lot with the points. I've already teased them up. But like I said, that's the one thing. I know the Eagles are going to play that way. They're going to be loose. They're going to be doing everything they can. And the 49ers cannot afford to be conservative in this game, especially on the road. Yeah, you have a rookie quarterback. He was a 7th-round pick. This is not where the guy you wanted to be taking snaps, but this is where you're at right now. And you got to go all hands on deck. You have to go full out. And I don't think Shanahan's going to do that.
No, he's like I already said. Call the show. Listen to the show because he's starting slow. We already know it. Well, he does it with every quarterback. He did it with Jimmy G in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Get the ball to the playmakers, man. I already marked Deebo Samuel. I saw 19.5 rushing yards. Get him some carries. You got to get, and Kittles again. Just keep an eye on him. He really likes throwing to Kittles. Kittles seems like he's having such a good time playing right now. So, this is just going to be a great weekend. These are the 4 best teams. Just strap in and enjoy and try to win some money, I guess.
Yeah. That's all I got for that game. We'll wrap it up. Do you got any golf? I know you sent out some golf picks, Matt. I know we touched, a little dabble here. It's early in the season.
Yeah. So everybody, John Rahm has just been steamrolling people, but you got to be careful. It's not impossible. I know these guys get hot, but you can't just go win back-to-back tournaments. It's just not that easy when you have a field of 156 guys. Somebody else is going to get fired too. So Rahm has struggled out of the gate. I actually gave out Max Homa as a win this week, and he's a good showing today, -4. I believe he's top 10 out of the gate. That's all I can ask for. Took a couple other flyers. I had a winner today with Johnny Vegas to beat Taylor Pendrith in the round 1 matchup. So little win out of the gate, long way to go, but let's go Max Homa. Great Twitter follow too, Max Homa.
Yeah, fantastic.
We need the Twitter follow, Max.
Yeah, I gave out a couple too. Maverick McNeely 2 weeks ago got me a winner top 10. I have him again, I think in a top 10. Keegan Bradley, I have top 20. I did Xander, Schauffele, but really not off to a good start today.
Yeah, but he does make that towards the back end run though.
Yeah, I mean it's a long thing. The great thing with golf is you could be a great. Well, this week it's Wednesday, Thursday, and everything in that. But man, it's a sweat sometimes on those Sundays. It is fun to enjoy, and Matt does a great job. And I try. Last year was my first year that I really dove into it, and I really enjoyed gambling golf, and I did extremely well. So we'll see if we can kind of carry it.
It might be one of the hardest sports to cap. It really is. I mean,
my DFS lineup.
That and Ukraine ping pong, very tough.
That might be a little easier.
Very tough.
We will. Go ahead, Matt.
Slap fight.
And slap fighting.
Yeah, slap fighting.
That's going to be tough.
Whoever created lines for that, I'd like to have a conversation.
That's going to be tough to handicap.
Do you go on like finger size, like ring size? Like how do you figure out where the 10 is? You know what I mean? That's got to be brutal. At least the ping pong, like he's got yeah. It's what I don't know. Listen, when times are tough, we do resort to Russian and Ukrainian basketball and ping pong. There is guaranteed winners in that. Trust me, people.
Hey, COVID was tough. COVID was real tough.
Then I was on Korean baseball, and I was up at like 4 a.m. watching it. Things are tough, but hey, that's what we do. We're degenerates, and we love it. That's all I got, boys. Great first show here in the studio. We're excited to be here again. WSN Wild Style Network. It is transitioning from Wild Style Radio. It's kind of a rebirth, and we're here for the huge journey. We've got a couple podcasts. The Kevin and Rock Show is incredible. Kevin Schaefer, Rocky Parrish, and then Stand Up and Shout. If you're a rock and roll guy, by all means, please listen to it. It's incredible. Give those guys a lot of credit. Very interesting stuff. They're going to have some pretty awesome bands come on and do some podcasts and whatnot. So it's awesome to be here, and we'll see you guys next week. You guys got anything?
No, I just want to give a special thanks to Wild Style for giving us a shot, man. That's awesome. We're excited. I can't wait to get down in the studio. I want to see one of these fights you guys keep talking about.
Yeah, come on down. Yep.
I'm going.
Wild Style Nation, they do TCB fighting and Cagezilla, so that'll be awesome to get
into that arena.
Yeah, we'll bring you guys down. I mean, we want to do a 4-man show. We'll get you down, maybe a little March Madness or something like that. After the Super Bowl, it's all feet on the ground, and the men charging towards March. I mean, college basketball is our next biggest thing, so we'll definitely get you guys down. And to wrap it up, like I always say, bang your bookies. We're out. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Notebook Wagering Podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any episodes, and be sure to follow @Notebook Wagering. Until next time.